Here we are. Wow, what a time it is. The last...
Dude, happy to be here.
Oh.
The wee hours of 2025.
The savior of the pod has returned. We're recording this at like 10 p.m. on December 30th. You guys will either be hearing this on New Year's Eve or New Year's Day, depending on when I get my act together.
Sure.
Xander has returned to the pod. How does it feel to be back? Savior of the pod.
It feels great to be back. Yeah, it's like stepping into just a nicely worn pair of underwear.
Perfect. Oh yeah, that's so good. We are here today to discuss the FKT scene in the Northeast in the year of our Lord 2025. And talk about, we've got some topics that we want to discuss. We've got some sort of an overview we want to do, and we've got some Infinite we want to sell. So first, let me tell you about the sponsor for this week. That is Infinite Nutrition, total nutrition powder. Mix it right into your water. Very customizable, great fuel. Go to the link in the bio to get your custom blend or fructose or recovery crab. I don't care. 15% off with code from the backcountry, all one word. Great company.
15%. It doesn't get better than that.
There's it just doesn't get better. Yeah, that's what else do you got for that?
The 90 gram mix is absolutely goated.
It's pretty goated.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. Great. Bang. Ad number 1 done. You're welcome, Infinite. Second ad, Burgeon Outdoor. Great company. They make great clothes. I wear their Alpha Direct all the time. My girlfriend is sick of it because it looks like a drug rug, but it's really comfortable. And I wear it every day. Great layer for backpacking. Also been rocking their Sun hoodie. Great running layer as well. What do you have? Anything you've been liking recently, Xander, from Burgeon?
Yeah, I have really been enjoying the Sunseeker hoodie as well. That layer can work. You can wear it like 3-5 days in a row without it feeling gross. Works for a lot of weather. Just a big fan.
Great. That's fantastic. Head on down to the link in the description. Check out Burgeon. Great company. No discount code, but that's okay. They make great stuff. And then last sponsor is John G. Tell you about him later. But for now, to the episode. Here we are. So what we thought we'd do first, unless Xander has objections, is go through all of the FKTs that were set on the top 25 Northeast FKT routes, just very briefly. And for those of you who don't remember, Xander and I polled dozens of Northeast FKT athletes to figure out the top 25 routes. The
tens and tens of athletes.
That's right. The top 10 is actually posted is officially on the FKT website now. And then the 11 through 25, which is unranked, is just a shadow list that Xander and I keep now, but we'll go through all those, see what people got up to this year. What are your thoughts on the year generally, Xander?
Oh, that's a good question. I thought it was a pretty active year for the Northeast scene. I feel like a lot of people got out and did stuff. I think that some of our top routes didn't get touched, and I thought that they would. But I feel like in sort of the mid layer of routes, I thought that people had a lot of action. Like, I think people want to get out now more than ever, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, I agree. I was actually I was quite stoked about the year in the Northeast this year. It was very active in terms of the numbers. So we have 25 premier routes in the Northeast that at least that we have dictated. 23 breaks on those, on at least what we perceive to be the premier versions of those 25 routes. 11 of the 23 were female. So that means 12 of the 23 were male, so pretty good equality there in the gender breaks of the records. And then over half of the breaks, so 14 of the 23 were from the top 10 that is published on the FKT website. So I thought that was also quite cool. There's a lot of action going on.
Yeah, I like that. It means that people weren't just like scraping off the potentially easy pickings in 20 to 25.
Right. So let's get to it. Like you noted, Xander, there's some inaction at the very top of the list, and so we'll go to first. We'll just knock those out real quick. Number 1, the Prezi. Number 2, the Pemi, and number 4, the Hut Traverse. Those 3 routes saw 0 action on the premier versions of the list. The Pemi had a bunch of action on the variations. I guess my question is, like, I thought something would happen on the Pemi, the Prezi, and the Hut Traverse this year. Are those routes just dead? None of them have been raced since like 2021, or at least none of them have been broken since 2021. Is it time to declare them dead?
No, certainly not. I mean, there have been like good runs, particularly on the Pemi, in the past couple of years, right? Like Jake Aceto has raced it, David Hedges has raced it, and that come very close to the record. So there have been like really good runners who have gone out after the Pemi specifically and just have come up a couple minutes short. Wouldn't say that they're dead. I do think though that Drummond was talking about this on the Run the Whites podcast a couple months ago. I think about his dietitian, like you need to like honor the classics, and it felt like when we were in undergrad, everybody sort of understood that like these 3 routes were just incredible and were the best ones in the whites, and people wanted to rip them really fast. And then they got raced really hard, and so I think a lot of people just see them as like maybe unattainable. They're certainly not dead. I think that they have a mystique, but it's like maybe they're on like graveyard watch. If it goes a couple more years without people really challenging them, they'll start to lose some of that mystique, perhaps.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I also think like the Hut Crew thing, there has to like the Hut Crew definitely like drives some of the like running stuff, particularly on the Hut Traverse, and like the Jeff Cole, Katie Scheid era of the Hut Crew is like, their cohort is like totally gone, and so I think that also plays like a cultural element of like maybe there isn't a next group of Hut Crew people who are, trying to break that record specifically.
Yeah, that makes sense. All right, so let's get to the stuff that actually had breaks on it. Again, we're going to talk about a lot of these routes, or these efforts rather, later on in more depth, so we're just doing a very surface overview as Xander, for our audio-only listeners, is flashing the Polar Original Seltzer on the screen right now.
The pure flavor.
That's horrible. First up, at the number 3 slot in the top 10 list is the Long Trail. Long Trail saw 2 really incredible efforts this year, both on the women's side. Tara Dower obviously sort of being the headliner, I think, of many people's seasons, taking down Ya Boy's record. She did 3 days, 18 hours, 30 minutes, down from what I did, which was 3 days, 11 hours, 9 minutes, so over a 2-hour break. So that was a big one. Tori Constantine took not quite a full day, but a lot of time off of the women's unsupported record. She came in at 5 days, 19 hours and 29 minutes, down from 6 days, 11 hours and 33 minutes. And if you're interested in more I'll not link, but I'll tell you guys if efforts have had their own dedicated podcast episode. Tori has. It was episode 104. If you're interested, go check that out. Any we're gonna talk about both those later, but any initial thoughts as before we talk about other stuff?
No, I think obviously both were great runs. Yeah, I think that there's stuff to build on here, particularly with Tories. I hope that the female unsupported like just scene generally gets just gets more traction. I think there's a lot of good stuff there.
Yeah. Next up, we have the number 5 premier route in the Northeast, the 100-mile Wilderness. Saw a lot of great efforts this year. I think a couple that didn't end up being FKTs, but then the 3 that we did get to see broken. Obviously, your other boy, Xander.
Bang!
Bang! Coming in at 23 hours and 9 minutes, taking about an hour and a half off of his own record from a couple years prior, and dipping below the 24-hour mark. That was covered in From the Backcountry episode 102. If you want more of that content, along with Maya Buckingham, who took down the overall women's supported record down to 29 hours 33 minutes from 33 hours and 19 minutes. Also covered in From the Backcountry episode 102. And finally, for the 100-mile Wilderness, we had Finn Melanson, who took down his own unsupported record from 29:34 all the way down to 28 hours and 43 minutes. So he's really the only person that has shown any ability in the last few years to even finish an unsupported 100-mile Wilderness. So that was another great one. We covered that in From the Backcountry episode number 109. Yeah, we'll talk about the 100-mile Wilderness later, but great route, and stoked that it got a lot of play this year.
Yeah, I mean, Maya's just so good. You know, like, and actually, in contrast to, what we were talking about with the Hutch versus Pemi and Prezi, I feel like we know of people who will be back out next summer to go for it, or even like a slightly younger crowd who like want to do it in the next 5 to 7 years or something.
Yeah.
So it's interesting to see how the culture has moved that way. But yeah, I mean, Maya's is like a 4-hour break. I mean, that's crazy.
It's a big one.
Yeah.
Granted, awesome. I believe the last women's record was unsupported. I think Maya's the first woman to really, as Jack would say, crew max.
Sure.
But Maya's a beast. Yeah, she took a lot of time off. 4 hours is a lot of time.
That's a lot of time.
At number also 5, because they were tied in the voting miraculously, is the New Hampshire 48. We had 2 breaks on the New Hampshire 48 this year, both on the Diartissima version, so a through hike of the New Hampshire 48, and both unsupported. So Andrew Drummond took down, again, ya boy's record. It was a tough year for ya boy in terms of keeping his records. But yeah, Drummond took down my record to 4 days, 22 hours, and 43 minutes from what I did in 2020, which was 5 days, 13 hours, and 5 minutes. So he took over 14 hours off my time. And that was covered in From the Backcountry episode 101. And then Lexi Jackson coming in and taking almost 2 days off the women's unsupported time and the women's overall Diartissima time at 5 days, 16 hours, and 30 minutes, down from 7 days, 11 hours, 44 minutes. If you're keeping track at home, that also clocks her, I think, the 3rd fastest Diartissima ever. So that was a pretty cool accomplishment. She's one that I've been meaning to have on the pod, but just haven't gotten around to it yet.
Dude, bring back the Diartissima.
Dude, the Diartissima never left. I don't know what you're talking about.
Sure. So we had this comment when we put out the survey that like, oh, like people were like, oh yeah, the New Hampshire 48 like supportive version is cool, but the Diartissima is the one that's like is the real one.
Yeah, I think people like the grittiness of the Diartissima.
Yeah, and I think that this summer kind of bore it out. I thought Drummond's run, got a lot of traction. I mean, it's Drummond, so he's a big figure. Um,
Sure.
Lexi is like a huge break. I don't know. I see where they're coming from. I see where they're
I
coming from.
I hear that, and I agree with you. And I generally agree with the premise that the Diartissima is the sick version of the 48. However, I will say there's also probably a component of the coming into this year. I think the Diartissima records were a lot more breakable than the overall, like Bill and Alyssa's records on the supported 48
So
are
stout, so
really
stout.
fast.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
it's not an easy lift. Not that the Diartissima is an easy lift either. And I think what Lexi and Andrew did puts them in the same weight class now, which is cool.
yeah. It's just like the elasticity of these things. Like people will gravitate towards the things that they think are more achievable, and yeah,
Yeah.
so on and so forth. And like ultimately, when people do hard things, it comes off as very cool. And
Totally.
and then this year it was the Diartissima that people did,
Yeah.
and it was super cool.
All right, at number 7, we have the Great Range. Much like the Hutchverse, Pemi, and Prezi, the Great Range has seen any breaks since 2021, so that's
Dude,
sick.
it saw you breaking your kneecap.
Yeah, God, I think I talked about that on the podcast after it happened. I thought I
I
was
think you
toast.
did, yeah.
God, yeah, Great Range is horrific. Um, and the number 8 slot in Northeast FKTs, we've got the Whites 100, which saw the most action of any route, which is awesome. I think we'll break down a lot of these later on in our segments, but I just want to go. I wrote them out chronologically, so I'll rip through them real quick. June 27th, Zan Alberici came out and did it unsupported in 45 hours and 55 minutes, which was the first ever recorded unsupported completion. We talked about that in From the Backcountry episode 100 with Zan. Then on a couple weeks later, July 10th, Christopher Paquette, also known as Christopher Walken, lowered that time by about 8 hours to 37 hours and 30 minutes, also unsupported. And then about a month later, August 16th, Austin Black came in and ran it in 34 hours and 49 minutes, taking a little over 2 hours, a little over 2.5 hours off of Christopher's time. And that unsupported time by Austin is the one that still stands. A little bit later, early September, Kara Baskin, shout out the Upper Valley, shout out Kara, she's a beast, came in and did it supported in 34 hours and 12 minutes, which lowered the female FKT by almost 5 hours, down from 38 hours, 58 minutes. And hers is the current female overall record. And then, like 10 days later, on September 15th, Amber Constant came in and did. Oh, right. So, not the premiere version of the route, but I just thought it was worth a shout out. Amber Constant did an out and back of the Whites 100 on September 15th. It took 4 days, 2 hours and 25 minutes. We covered that in episode From the Backcountry, episode 107. Just a ridiculous effort. And then finally, Whitney Pearson on September 28th came out and did the Whites 100 in 53 hours and 10 minutes and clocked the first ever female unsupported time. It was the year of the whites 100 in the whites. Honestly, this
Dude,
route got me more.
apparently.
I think the action on this route got me more stoked than anything else this year in the whites. But
Really?
how do you feel just overall about the route?
Dude, like maybe I'm a hater. I just don't I don't get the glaze on it. I think it's really cool. I I just think it's a little bit arbitrary. It hasn't been for me.
Hmm. It threatens the 100-mile wilderness dominance. That's what I'm hearing.
Maybe. Yeah, for whatever reason, it hasn't sparked my imagination in the same way. Though, if we get a couple more years where 8 people break a record on it, maybe I'll have to change my mind.
Sure, fair enough. All right, we'll keep moving because we got a lot of topics. At the 9 slot in the Northeast FKT rankings, we got the Mahusik Traverse. Jeff Colt came in and did the Mahusik Traverse in 6 hours and 40 minutes, which was down from 7 hours and 16 minutes by Hillary Girardi. He set the overall record for it, and we cover that. I think it was just the last episode, so episode 113. Go check that out. Jeff is sick. It was an incredible run. Really, really impressive. And then a brief shout out. It's not the premiere version of the route, but Craig Lehman, I believe, is the first known person, at least that I know of, to do an out and back of the Mahusik Traverse, which sounds just awful.
Yeah, that sounds gross.
Congrats, Craig. You did the most miserable thing imaginable, and but I'm sure it's quite a memory, and that's it's really cool. Yeah, Mahusik Traverse is sick.
Yeah, I mean, and Jeff is such a good runner. We just gotta get him back to the East Coast so he's doing more cool stuff here.
I know, yeah, we seriously do. Maybe someday once he ditches on.
Right.
Okay. Yeah,
Dude, bring on to the Northeast.
true.
They'll love it here.
That's so true. And then in the 10 slot, rounding out the top 10 Northeast premier routes, we have the Adirondack 46. Ya boy, we got a lot of ya boys on the podcast. Scotty B. Cash, aka Scott Beneroff, took the Adirondack 46 unsupported. So they're, the Adirondack 46 version of the Diartissima. He took that down to 4 days, 7 hours, and 24 minutes from 4 days, 21 hours, and 51 minutes. So he took over 14 hours off the unsupported time. Really, really impressive, and sort of, I think, what we'll look back on as Scott's breakout effort. We'll probably talk about that one later. But also talked about that in From the Backcountry, episode 106.
I think Scott had another breakout effort this year.
Oh, what was that?
I think that's all I'll say.
Okay. We'll leave it there. Okay. Now we're sort of going to the
good for Scott though, on both accounts.
so we're sort of going to the best of the rest now. The unranked 11 through 25. We split them up into sub ultra, marathon distance, ultra, and multi-day. So in terms of the sub ultra, I'll rip through all these. We had the Franconia Loop, did not see any breaks this year.
Boo.
Mount Washington, no breaks. Blue Hill Skyline, no break. Moosilauke time trial. It's not on the FKT website, but I have not heard anything about that record being broken. The 2 we did get breaks on in the sub ultra. We actually had 4 total breaks. 3 were on Katahdin and 1 was on the Vermont 4,000 footers. So Katahdin is one of those ones where I truly don't really know what the premier version of Katahdin is. I think it's pretty safe to say that it's not the All Trails version because there's no record for it. And I know you and I debated doing it, but I think there's a good case to be made for a bunch. Like A-Ball has been raced really hard. Hunt Trail is really aesthetic, and then I think the Katahdin, I think it's pronounced Cirque. the Katahdin Cirque is or Kirk, I don't know, is also incredibly aesthetic. So
What does aesthetic mean in this context?
well, so for me, aesthetic, like the Katahdin Cirque is essentially like up Roaring Brook, up Hamlin Ridge, up and over Hamlin, across over Baxter, over Knife's Edge, and then down Helon Taylor.
That's
And I
not my
think,
question. That's not my question.
well,
You and the kids can't just say aesthetic.
I
That's
was getting to it.
it's not meaningful.
I was
What
getting to
aesthetic
it.
does it have?
Listen, there's quality is a term that you know when you see, and uh, but impossible to define. And I would say that like it's aesthetic in the sense of
No, no, no. What you can't just say it's aesthetic. Aesthetic is it's you have to qualify it.
I was saying in the sense of it has great views. It goes over the coolest parts of Katahdin, in my opinion. It like goes along the ridge for a long time. It's not like the Katahdin Cirque's not an out and back. It's a loop, which I tend to favor. Although I know for single mountain FKTs, it's a the point to point or an out and back is like more of a thing. Um, and so that's what I like about it aesthetically.
You can say aesthetically. You can't just say that something is aesthetic.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
Okay.
the old heads in the crowd will understand me.
Um, any we're getting caught up. We're getting caught up. We saw 3 breaks on Katahdin. Kaylin Ramsey broke Lucy Skinner's time on the A Ball Trail car to car. Lucy Skinner had done it in 2 hours and 28 minutes, and Kaylin did it in 2 hours and 23 minutes, so it took 5 minutes off the time. Lucy's a beast, so I am assuming this time is also sick. And I mean, 2 hours and 23 minutes up and down Katahdin is very stout.
Feels really fast. It feels
Yeah.
really fast.
It just feels really fast. Jeremiah Cohen on the Hunt Trail car to car did 3 hours and 22 minutes, down from 3 hours and 25 minutes, which one really slim margin, but also the Hunt Trail is just a really, really gnarly trail. So I like racing that seems dangerous to me, but good for Jeremiah Cohen. And then finally, good old Jimmy Rips went on the Katahdin Cirque, did it in 2 hours and 49 minutes, down from 3 hours and 21 minutes. Yeah, Katahdin saw some action this year. I think it's super cool.
That's pretty sweet. Yeah, you'd love to see Katahdin become the premier like single mountain
Totally.
like FKTA.
I don't know if the Rangers and Baxter would like to see that, but we love to see
No,
it.
but that's like kind of part of it, you know.
Fair.
It's a little rebellious.
It is a tiny bit rebellious. And then finally, in the sub ultra category, we've got Whitney Pearson on the Vermont 4Ks, making her second debut on the list. She did it. She did the driving version of the Vermont 4K, so she's driving between mountains. She did it in 9 hours and 19 minutes, down from 10 hours. And she set she was 27 minutes off of the overall, but she set the women's record. So that's pretty sweet as well. Love some peak bagging.
Boo.
On to the marathon distance. We only had one record break in the marathon distance, and there are 4 routes there. So Devil's Path, there were no breaks. Acadia Round, no breaks. And Monroe Skyline, gap to gap to gap, no breaks. But the Bob Marshall Traverse saw a break. Annie Tilden, she ran it in 12 hours and 38 minutes, which was down from 13 hours and 7 minutes. She did it supported, I believe. Yeah, she did supported, and Katie Rhodes had the record before her. Shout out Katie Rhodes, unsupported. So I think there's definitely definitely some mounting competition on the Bob. We've been reliably informed by Scott that there's a rich history of racing on the Bob that Xander and I were ignorant of last time we spoke on this route.
Sure.
Um,
Sure.
so cool to see that broken, but I would, selfishly, I would love to see Devil's Path and Acadia Round get more play, because
Dude,
those two routes are so big.
absolutely. Absolutely.
Honestly, I really couldn't care less about the Monroe Skyline. But
Nope. But apparently enough people love it, so
I
we
mean,
keep track.
it's a David Hedges record, right? It's got to be pretty
I
good.
think so, yeah. Yeah.
Okay, we're getting towards the end of the list here. In the ultra category, we have two more routes: the Dartmouth 50, which saw no breaks this year, and the Grafton Notch Loop, which was broken by Finn Kind. He did it in 7 hours and 44 minutes, down from 7 hours and 55 minutes. That flew under the radar, I think, but super cool route and an awesome break by Finn. That was so shout out Finn. He's another one that I've been meaning to get on the pod and just haven't done it.
Dude, I think Finn's coming for people's records. I think he's part of the next wave.
I hope so. That'd be awesome. Finally, we have the multi-day category in the 11 to 25. There are 3 routes here, and we saw 3 breaks on these routes. So we had the Cohos Trail, a woman by the name of Somerset Banks, who I wasn't familiar with before this.
Great name.
She great name. She did it in 4 days, 8 hours, and 58 minutes. She was the first female to do the route unsupported, or at least on the FKT website, and she was only 5 hours slower than Eli Barakian's unsupported time in 2019. So I think it's a pretty solid first women's unsupported record. And then the other 2, we had 2 breaks. We had the New England Trail. No one broke the record on the New England Trail. And finally, we had the Northville Lake Placid Trail, which we saw 2 breaks on. So we had Roland Mann, who ran in 2 days, 4 hours, and 49 minutes, which at the time took about 3 hours off of the unsupported record. But shortly thereafter, Maya Buckingham came around in her second sick effort of the summer and did it unsupported in 1 day, 22 hours and 15 minutes. So she took about 6.5 hours off of the overall unsupported time for the Northville Lake Placid Trail. Really sick. I think, it's a weird route because it's like almost multi-day, but it's like it seems like it's a more runnable 150 miler. And so it's a weird distance, but Maya absolutely killed it and has the overall unsupported now.
Dude, Maya's the GOAT.
Maya's the GOAT. Okay. That is all of the top 25 records that got broken this year. 23 breaks. Let's get to the good stuff.
The good stuff.
The good stuff.
All
Things
right.
I forgot to mention at the beginning of the podcast. I got this sweet on the on the recommendation of Finn Melanson. I got this sweet camera for the podcast, like a web streaming camera or whatever. But I need a USB to USB-C adapter, and I only have one that I'm using on the microphone. So you guys get my crappy laptop camera for at least one more week here.
Dang it.
It's pretty tough. Other things. We're about to go into some segments talking about the best efforts, and comparing stuff. And I think yesterday I'm reading this book called Zen and the Art of Motorcycle Maintenance, and there was a great sort of paragraph from this book that that sparked my interest and connected with some interesting thoughts that I've been having about the scene and what motivates us to do these things. So I'm going to skip around a little bit, but I have a brief intro quote that I'm gonna talk about. Xander and I will give our thoughts on it, and then we'll move on to the segments. So here we go. Any effort that has self-glorification as its final endpoint is bound to end in disaster. Now we're paying the price. When you try to climb a mountain to prove how big you are, you almost never make it. And even if you do, it's a hollow victory. In order to sustain the victory, you have to prove yourself again and again in some other way, and again and again and again, driven forever to fill a false image, haunted by the fear that the image is not true and someone will find out. That is never the way. Um, da da da. Then it starts talking a little bit about like the characteristic of an ego hiker is what he calls it. He says he's too fast or too slow for the conditions, and when he talks, his talk is forever about somewhere else, something else. He's here, but he's not here. He rejects the here, is unhappy with it, wants to be farther up the trail, but when he gets there, will be just as unhappy because then it will be, quote, here. What he's looking for, what he wants, is all around him, but he doesn't want it because it is all around him. Every step's an effort, both physically and spiritually, because he imagines his goal to be external and distant. I feel like we've had versions of, like, many versions of conversations touching on this idea. As I sit here and plan future efforts and future adventures, like I feel like quite often since probably for the last couple years, since maybe really like the unsupported long trail, I've like the why has become more difficult. Um, because like we've talked about, I think the the process of self-discovery that is so potent when you first start doing these things gradually turns into a process of very marginal gains, and you stop, you really stop learning. At least I feel like I haven't learned that much about myself in the past couple of years, even though I'm still doing these things. And then the question is like, okay, why? Well, then, like, that's why we started doing it in the first place. Why am I doing it now? Am I doing it now because I'm trying to fulfill an image, or to stroke my ego, or to prove something to myself or someone else that isn't possible? Um, I don't know. I know you've had some of these thoughts, so I wanted to open it up.
Yeah, it's a good quote. I think that first paragraph is like haunting because at all times it's who you want to avoid being. And I think for people who take it pretty seriously, I think it's very easy to feel yourself veering in towards that persona um, at all times, like even when things are going well. Um, I totally agree um, about the self-discovery point. It's really hard. I mean, like I've raced a few times in the past few years, and some have gone well, some have gone very well, some have, not gone so well. And the things that you learn, just the list gets smaller and smaller. And it's like, yeah, you can walk away thinking like, oh, it wasn't a skill issue, it was this issue. We'll get them next time. But when you accumulate a few that go well, you stop learning that sort of drive. It all starts with the question of like, do I really think that I can do this?
Right.
And it's like not becoming like overconfident, but like that you can hike, say, the New Hampshire 48. You know that you can hike it really fast. If you're gonna race it, you're talking about, can I do it like maybe 30 minutes faster than I did it the last time?
Right.
Or something like that. And it's like it's much harder to find that motivation, that internal motivation. And then when you get into the sort of like, oh, I want to do it because I want to beat this person, or I want to beat this time, or I want to seem this way, gets really dangerous, obviously, like
Mhm.
for your long-term relationship with the sport. um yeah, I think for us specifically, where we're at, we've been around for a long time, and it's one of the places on the road where like there's an exit ramp, right? This is the time when people usually commit their sort of whole selves to becoming, you know, sponsored athletes that do this as their full-time job, or kind of say, I'm out of the game. You can't really get by as like a dirt bagger
Mm.
as a late 20-year-old. I think that just reflects that quote. Like, you're trying to figure out who you are once you've answered the initial questions that got you into it.
I thought that was a good preamble just to us now comparing people and ranking things and, possibly.
Viciously.
No, I know, and we're about to like, there's probably someone we're like, all of this is flowers and compliments, but someone's gonna listen to this and be like, "Are you kidding me? You gave me 4th?" Like, I I know that feeling. So,
Yeah.
just keep a perspective as to it's fun to do these things, and that's why we do them, and people love, like, talking about what's inspiring and comparing things and all that, but just keep in mind, like, why we do this in the first place, and, I think, I think we I don't know. I don't know. I like when I did the New Hampshire 48, when I did the New Hampshire 48 in 2020, FKT of the year wasn't like a thing that I'd ever considered or cared about. And then, and then, a few years later, it's like it consumed a big part of my mind space for months, about whether or not I was going to get validation from some random people on the internet. So I think it's easy to fall into that. With that said, let's viciously compare people. This first segment is called Billy's Ballot, where ya boy Billy, aka Will, is going to give his top five ranked in order efforts. My take for top five effort, male and female, of the year in the Northeast. Let's start with the number five. Or sorry, I have honorable mentions. Honorable mentions on the male side. I want to give honorable mentions to Finn Kind and Finn Melanson, the two Finns on their Finn Kind on the Grafty Loop, Finn Melanson on the unsupported 100-mile wilderness. Both great efforts. Didn't quite make the top five cut for me, but I thought they were really spectacular, and I really wanted to include them somewhere. And then on the honorable mention side for the females, Maya Buckingham and the Northville Lake Placid Trail, sick effort. I think if that were her only effort this year, I would have slid it in the top five somewhere, but we got other stuff to talk about with her.
Sure.
All right, let's get to the top five. On the male side, number five, Austin Black, Whites 100. He holds us unsupported right now, 34 hours. Really impressive. Is actually we didn't set the ground rules here. I'm just gonna rip through all the top five and then
Yeah,
we
yeah,
can critique it.
yeah.
So yeah, Austin Black, Whites 100. 34 hours is really fast unsupported on the Whites 100 in my opinion. I thought it was a great effort. On the female side, number five, got Kara Baskin, also on the Whites 100. Sick effort, 34 hours. She did really, really well. Sort of, I think, hopefully is inspiring a lot of other women to go try a route like the Whites 100, because I think she showed that there's just a lot of potential there. And, Kara's an absolute killer. Number four, on the men's side, I have got Scotty B. Cash with his unsupported Adirondack 46. I think it was a spectacular effort. Things that held it back for me from being any higher is just like perhaps a little bit lower level of competition on that route. But I think Scott is destined for greatness. I tremble at what he might do this coming year. Scott's at number 4. Number 4 on the female side for me is Maya Buckingham on the 100-mile wilderness, taking 4 hours off the female FKT, running it really, really strong, bringing the Vermont crew up there, establishing a time that people can go after, and really breaking the route back open for the women. Sick time. Number 3 on the men's side, I've got Jeff Colt at the Mahoosuc Traverse. Absolute baller effort. We talked all about it on the pod. So stoked to see him come back to the Northeast. And, really the only reason I couldn't put it higher is because the 1 and 2 were really good in my opinion. Number 3 on the female side, Lexi Jackson, Diartissima, unsupported New Hampshire 48. Really spectacular, but I think I'll talk a little when I get to the 2 for the women. I'll talk about why Lexi wasn't higher. Number 2 for the men, I've got Xander Kiter in the 100-mile wilderness. Absolutely spectacular. Bang! Absolutely spectacular effort. Sub 24 broke Finn's famed sub 24 barrier. Even though you didn't get a shout out from Single Track on their FKT.
Brutal, bro.
Two male shout outs from the Northeast and no sub 24 100-mile wilderness. Guy hates the route, apparently.
Yeah, he's been beating that drum for years.
And we'll talk about why the 2 spot. And then on the female side, number 2, Tori Constantine with the unsupported female long trail. Again, Lexi and Tori were really close for me. The thing that ended up making me tip my cap to Tori on this was just simply the level of competition on the long trail on the women's side, both self-supported and unsupported. You've got Liz Durston, you've got Michaela Osler, you've got Nika Myers, you've got Jenfar Davis, and Tori took them all down, and I thought that was so sick. Absolutely epic effort by Tori. And then at the number 1 slot for the males, we've got Andy Drumbo with his unsupported Diartissima. Again, I struggled a lot with Xander 2, Drummond 1. You could flip flop them. I think they're really close in terms of sickness of the effort. I think the reason that I gave the nod to Drumbo is that I felt like I already knew that you could do what you did, and I did not know that Andrew. Like, I knew Andrew was good. I did not know he had that in him. So.
This is clearly an illicit political contribution to the mayor of the Whites.
Andrew, please sponsor the pod. I need money. And then finally on the female side, not really much of a question. Number 1, Tara Dower on the long trail. Beat My Time is very likely gonna get FKT of the year on the women's side. I'd have her on the podcast if she wants to come on. I think I've given my wounded ego enough time to heal. But yes, just spectacular effort. Great community vibes. Awesome stuff. Xander, what are your thoughts on Billy's ballot?
Dude, Billy's ballot this year is pretty good. I think that the women's top 5 is like extraordinarily tight. I think like Tara is like the clear number 1. I think that there's an argument for 2 through 5, each of them being anywhere 2 through 5. I think that that those like runs are really really tight, and so just huge kudos to all of them. I think I think that you have shown a slight long trail New Hampshire 48 bias. I
Perhaps.
think I think that I would put I would sort of mix in maybe Maya at 2, Tori at 3, Kara at 4, Lexi at 5. But
Oof.
but I think that it just comes down to personal preference, right? Like what route sort of it compels you more. I think that list, that top 5 is really good. To be honest, I would have put Finn or Jimmy Rips in at number 5 on the men's side um, instead of the Wise 100. I just think I think that because there was so much competition on Wise 100, it this summer, it's sort of one of those circumstances where like Austin and everybody that did Wise 100 this summer is like very clearly standing on the shoulders of the person who just did it before.
Right.
And I think also there's a lot of time to go. So while I love like how much action it got, I think somebody's going to come out next year and take like another 3 to 4 hours off.
Yeah.
Um, Whereas like with Finn's run, that that record had have been
Finn.
standing for a few years. Sorry, Finn Kine's
Yeah. Yeah.
Grafton Notch Loop, that record had been standing for a few years by Hillary. Um, and so
Was that a
he was kind
Hillary
of
record?
like,
Wait, who held the Grafton Notch Loop record? I thought that was like Peter
oh,
Howe.
my bad. Peter Howe. Yeah, you're right. And it's sorry that I was getting it mixed up with Mahusik because I think of them starting at the same spot at the old spec parking lot.
Oh, sure, sure, sure.
Um, um, no, you're right. Peter Howe had that record, but has had it for like 6 years before Finn.
Sure.
So it was kind of like breaking the top off of something there. Um, but I think that that's right. I think like one through 1 through 3 are all really good. I do think like Jeff, uh, if he crew max something, scouted it a little bit more, he could blow the top off of a lot of this stuff. But
Sure.
yeah, my big thing is I think I would put Finn Kind or Jimmy Rips in at number 5.
Jimmy Ribs for like for the Katahdin run?
Yeah,
Sure. You love the Katahdin circ.
dude, who doesn't? Show me one person who doesn't love the Katahdin Cirque.
Would you say you like the Katahdin circ because it is aesthetic?
Nope, I would not say that.
No, I think those are valid arguments. I do certainly possess the multi-day bias, which I do not apologize for, uh, and will never apologize for. But yeah, that's fair. I agree, especially on the 2 through 5 on the women's side was incredibly tight. It
Yeah,
was
like
really
I don't know how
difficult.
you make I don't know how you make those decisions,
Yeah,
honestly.
it's all eye of the beholder.
Sure.
All right, those are it. We're gonna skip ahead to possibly my favorite segment, the Zud list, uh, otherwise known as Xander's under duress list, where we're going to talk about either the people or the routes slash yeah, the people or the routes that are most under duress this year in terms of uh could get broken. Go ahead, buddy.
Dude, what what roots are under duress? I think that coming in at number 3, so the third most under duress is the Acadia round. I think that the hype for that route has been getting higher and higher past like 3 years. And it's been very incremental so far. I think we're going to get a really good time next year. From somebody, I don't want to say like what category it's going to be in, I think we're going to get at least one very competitive time on the Acadia round next year. Even if it's like if somebody uses it as like a training run, I think you're going to get a really high caliber athlete or two who who chase that and like use it as like a real like time trial or race opportunity, even if it's in furtherance of some other goal.
Dude, it's the new Pemi loop. It's what
It is.
we've been preaching it.
We have been preaching it. I think second most under duress is White's 100. I think the momentum will just build. And like I said, um, I think that both unsupported, yeah, I think both unsupported times will get down to like 30, 31 hours
Mhm.
next year. Because I think that people will still consider those like very breakable. And to me at least, that 30 to 31 hour time is like sort of what's commensurate with Jack's like 26 and change um, for supported. And also like, dude, even if I don't love it, like the people love it. They love White's 100.
They do. They certainly do.
And like fair enough, like logistically, if you were gonna do an unsupported 100 miler, it's a pretty good one to do. Like I understand why you wouldn't want to go to like the 100 mile wilderness um to do like a mountain 100 miler. Like doing it in the whites is way easier for so many people.
Right. Yeah. 100%.
Um, dude, most under duress route is the Pemi Loop.
Really?
Dude,
Explain
I mean,
that.
it's under duress in so many ways, right? Like there have, particularly with Jordan's record, there have been so many people who have come within, say, 10, 15 minutes of it in the past 5 years, but nobody has broken it so far. It's just begging to be broken. Out of the sort of the like three New Hampshire routes that are, um, in that top five that we surveyed, I think on both the men's and women's side, like the Pemi Loop is the most breakable,
Mm,
and I think it um racing the Pemi can work for the most styles of runner, not just like a totally technically sound person, and not just a total like flat ground runner. Um, it's also logistically easy, which I think should draw people in, and I think the route is under duress because I think it's the most likely of those three to lose its mystique if people don't run it.
sure.
And all it's going to take is 1 or 2 more years before it becomes like kind of a novelty,
Mhm.
uh, and that people don't consider really racing anymore.
Sure. Um, that was a decent Zud list. I'll give you a B, a solid B plus on
a
the
B
Zud list.
a B game.
A B on the Zud list.
Yeah, that's at
Uh,
least an A minus. I had great rationales for all those choices.
I think the Pemi is already scraping on the doorstep of irrelevance. And
That
I think
isn't okay. Okay, okay. Doesn't that mean that it's extremely under duress?
well, I mean, if you read the fine print on the rules of the segment, uh, under duress was referring to uh, most under duress in terms of most likely to get broken.
Dude,
And
all right.
I didn't. I just feel like with all three of
Reframe.
those, I feel like with all three of those routes, I'll believe it when I see it at this point. You know, uh, I don't know, but I like the other two. They're fantastic additions. I think I agree with you that White's 100 is under major duress. Pretty much every record except Jack's is relatively likely to fall in the next year,
Yeah,
um, which would be cool for the route, but duressful for the route. Uh,
right. Extremely duressful.
as is as is tradition on the Zud list, I'll add my own addition to the Zud list. I'm gonna put myself on the Zud list, and the reason for that is I have one real FKT left standing, which is the unsupported long trail. That could go down this year, and then I will have no FKTs left to my name, and I'll just be some guy who used to hold FKTs. So this
Boo.
year, we're testing the durability of my unsupported long trail, and then also I took a year off from major FKT efforts. It's time to get back in the game, and try to build up some more cushion between me and total irrelevance.
Sure. Just put a little space between you and total irrelevance.
That's right. So for anyone wondering, I am majorly under duress in 2026. Great. Fantastic.
Sure.
For the next category, we have Seltzer of the Year. This segment is sponsored by Janji, obviously. Janji, great clothing brand, makes fantastic athleisure and running clothes. I'm wearing some of their joggers right now, or I guess their cargo jogger athleisure things. Fantastic company. I've been digging their wind and rain glove mitten things that you can like pull over the rain layer. Keeps your hands super warm. Fantastic company. What do you love about Janji, Xander?
What do I love about Janji? Janji gives 10% of their, I believe it's their revenue, not profit. I believe it's revenue, but maybe don't quote me on that. 10% to clean water projects around the globe. And their stuff's really good.
Yep, sure. We cannot. So it's 2%, but nice try. And
That's what I said.
You said 10%. Same thing.
Uh.
But you know what they will give 10% on it? They will give you 10% off if you use code from the backcountry, all one word at checkout. And tell them when you go there, tell them that we sent you in the little "Where'd you hear about us" box. Really helps the pod. That's it.
I'll still take 2% for clean water projects.
Oh, I mean, it's better than 0%. It's
It's
also
way
better
better
than 1%.
It's way better than 0%.
Yeah, that's and all okay. Obviously, Seltzer of the Year goes to the Hannaford brand cranberry lime, and
Dude,
I will not.
that's way wrong.
That's
way wrong.
super right. I don't want to hear your opinion.
Dude, you sound crazy right now. Oh my, Will, shut up. You sound so stupid right now.
Crap. Anyone who even barely listened to the pod knows that Hannaford brand cranberry lime is the GOAT.
Dude, everybody knows that Polar original flavor.
Oh no.
Pure flavor. It's the purest sparkled water out there.
Oh, I'm Xander and I like flavorless bubbles. Get out of here.
Crap.
All right, we should be able to blow through the last few segments here pretty quickly. At number, we've got a predictions review of going back to my podcast, my FKT year in review podcast with Jack and Finn last year, because I like to maintain accountability for my takes. And so I've got.
Is this the FKT media ombudsman?
That's right. I'm ombudsing myself. The idea here, I've got category 1 takes, which were instantly correct. I've got category 2 takes, which are eventually correct or mostly correct or almost correct. And then category 3 takes, which were objectively horrifyingly wrong. So category 1, perhaps my proudest take of the year is that I called Deanna Doan getting the overall Florida Trail FKT. That was pretty sick. I called my shot to left field on that one. And then my other category 1 was was that I said the women's long trail record would go sub 5 days. I played myself a little bit on that one, but this actually went sub 4 days and beat me. Um, but great stuff. Category 2, so eventually correct or almost correct. I think the only one is that I predicted the AT going down, and that was very close to being correct because John Kelly was on pace to smash it until the whites stole his anterior tib muscles from his body. And then finally, category 3, objectively horrifying. I said the JMT would go sub 3 days unsupported, and I don't think anyone even tried it this year. At least not that I know of, or like a serious attempt. And then I said the AZT would go sub 12. That one I'm horrified by in multiple ways because I think I owe an apology to Nick Fowler. I don't think I appreciated like his overall self-supported record might be quite durable, and I thought like him setting the overall self-supported I thought would open the floodgates for much faster Arizona Trail records, especially supported, and that appears not to be the case. So, just horrifyingly wrong on those two takes. What do you have to say about my sports media ombudsing?
Dude, all I have to say is that I hope that we have a caring and loyal listener who is going to write in and tell us all of your other category 3 takes. I'm sure there are many, 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 many more.
If you're listening to this and you remember a category 3 take of mine, objectively horrifyingly wrong, put it in the comments on Spotify, and I will read it out in the next episode. Hold me accountable for my takes. Okay. Next, we've got comeback effort of the year. I don't know if you have any thoughts on this one. My vote for comeback effort of the year was going to be Jeff Colt. You know, coming back to the Northeast 7 years after setting the Hut Traverse FKT and sort of disembarking from the Northeast, coming back and setting the Mahoosuc Traverse in the style and the fashion that he did was pretty incredible. I think Drummond is also a great candidate with his Diartissima. Honestly, on the women's, I was racking my brain on the women's side for a comeback effort, and it seemed to me that the women's side generally fell either into the category of this is my breakout season in terms of FKTs, or I'm established and I'm not really coming back because I've just been dominating, and so I couldn't really think of a good one for the women's side.
Yeah, so Drummond was going to be my my addition until you stole it.
Nice.
It's an honorable mention. But I mean, yeah, as we've been talking and prepping for the podcast, I didn't have anything insane for this. Like again, I can't remember when it. No, it was too long ago. I was gonna say like Deanna Doan's like Grafton Notch loop was like kind of like a comeback since she sort of returns to that year over year. But I'm pretty sure that was 2024.
It certainly was 2024. Dude, her Grafty
Yeah,
gave me confidence to call her for the Florida Trail.
right. Yeah, I'm trying to think of other people who are sort of like on the treadmill, for a certain route who've come back. Hmm. What are you gonna do?
What are you gonna do? I don't know.
What are you gonna do? That's like
Right.
not a bad that's not a bad place for the women's scene to be though. Bunch of new people coming into the scene.
Yeah, it
Bunch
also
of
means
like
that,
a bunch of incumbents.
right. It also means that there's less failure on the women's side than there is on the men's side. They don't have
True.
they don't have to come back. They're just there doing their thing.
Doing their
Uh,
thing.
Doing their thing. Okay, we've got two more categories. I think two of my favorite categories, and then we'll let you guys on for your holiday here. Um, the best effort that wasn't. This is a painful one. But we're talking about the most impressive efforts that ended in a DNF. Um, some of my nominations here were Joffrey's Diartissima, super impressive effort, on pace to crush the record, and then had the bottom of his shoe completely blow out on him on the Wildcat Range with like I don't know like less than 50 miles to go or something like that. Um, and then my 100-mile wilderness. Once again, me failing to complete the route. I was
Idiot.
on
Idiot.
pace at mile 80 and couldn't get my crap together.
Idiot.
uh, yeah, and then my third one, a little bit outside the box because we haven't been talking about the AT much during this episode as a northeast route, but I thought we had, because of the location in which it happened, we have to include John Kelly's AT DNF because he was so close and yet so far, and it was the whites that derailed him. Do you have any other additions to the best effort that was not, or out of the ones that I listed? Are there any that you say, yeah, that's it?
I kind of thought that it was Joffrey's Diartissima. It's just seeing the stuff come through on Instagram. I was like, oh, that is so devastating. Yeah, I thought that he had put together such a good run out there, and it looked like he was going to smoke it. And to have it be like kind of like a gear failure. I mean, you can Monday morning quarterback as much as you want about like, oh, he could have done this, he could have done this to like get through, but it was going to be hard to sustain with a shoe that was just genuinely super broken.
Yeah,
Um,
like we're talking legitimate flip-flop territory. Only
right.
I think if I'm remembering right, the shoe was only connected, like the upper was only connected to the lower by like the heel.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a brutal way for it to go down. I do think.
So yeah, that was gonna be tough sledding. So that one was the one that I was like most like heartbroken for the runner on.
Yeah, I think that's
On the
go ahead.
on the women's side, I mean, I was closer to it because of the 100-mile wilderness, but Brianna Karbowski's like unsupported 100-mile
Ooh.
wilderness, she also looked like she was gonna smoke it, and then just started having cramps, in the 70s,
Oh, I forgot
uh,
about that one.
and sort of walked in, but looked like so strong for the first 2/3 of the race, and um, yeah, and no, I thought that she was gonna, you know, push the 30-ish hour mark. Um, so I think she's gonna go back. So hopefully she'll be a comeback story next year.
Yeah. Uh, oh, good. You actually convinced me. So I think Brianna certainly wins it for the women. I think I was gonna put my vote behind John Kelly because of how gut wrenching it was personally to be there.
Sure.
Um, However, there's something to be said about uh John pushing until it was his body that gave out, whereas it is really gut wrenching that Joffrey almost certainly would have gotten it had it not been for a gear failure.
Yeah.
So I think I agree with you. I think Joffrey wins that award. My heart goes out to you, Joffrey. I hope you do the Diartissima again, because we all know that Drummond is soft and his time is terrible.
We all know this.
We all know this. I'm just kidding. Please sponsor me, Drummond. All right. The final segment of the podcast is Prediction Time 2026. We will look back at this. We are married to these predictions, cannot change them, and we must. In a year from now, we will be talking about categories 1 through 3, and if we're idiots or not. So
Sure. Oh.
I'll let you think over there a little bit while I go through
Mhm.
mine. Number 1, I tried to go hot takes, like, not some,
Mhm.
real not just like, "Oh, Miles' knob will get broken," 'cause um, okay, hot take number 1, Run the Whites puts a bounty on the Prezi FKT, and it gets broken both male and female. Uh, I think that would be absolutely electric. I think I have no inside information uh as to Run the Whites actually planning to do that, but I think it's on the board. I would love to see it, and I think if a big enough bounty was put on it, say like FKT male and female gets $1,000 of store credit at Run the Whites. I think it could bring out some talent.
You're married to this take?
I'm married to this take, dude. Listen. We swing
This
big
is
here.
this is like a condition. This is a multi-tiered take, though. Both that there is a bounty on the Prezi FKT, and that both the men's and women's record gets broken.
I mean, luckily for me, I have a direct line to Andrew Drummond, and I can convince him. I
Sure.
can work to try to convince him to put this bounty on here, and then uh, and then I just believe in the power of greed, I guess. Uh,
Sure.
so, uh, my next hot take is that uh, this is kind of a lukewarm take, to be
Yeah,
completely
this
honest,
is extreme.
but
This is room temperature water.
I think there will be action in some form on both the male and the female side of the Whites 100. Uh, yeah, I don't think that would surprise really anyone, but gotta continue the hype there, and gotta have at least one category 1 take. Um, my third take is that there's going to be a quiet year on the 100-mile wilderness with no record breaks. No no record breaks with the possible exception of Finn Melanson's yearly 50-50 of whether or not he will break his own unsupported FKT. Uh, and finally, again, I have no insider information, but this is more of wish casting than anything. I think we
Insider
will
trading.
I hope and I think that we might see the return of Alyssa Godesky to the Northeast multi-day scene with some big FKT. Those are my 4 takes for 2026, and I will die on all of the hills that they create.
Sure. Sure. Pretty bad slate of takes, I would have to say.
All right.
I I think the only one that's right is more action on men's and women's side of White's 100.
Yeah, that's wrong. Nice try though.
Well,
You have some takes of your own over there?
I do, yeah. I think that at the end of 2026, the women's unsupported White's 100 time will be faster than the men's unsupported White's 100 time.
Really?
I do.
Interesting.
I do. Uh, I do. Yep. That's the take. Um,
Do you have rationale behind that? Or is it just a gut feeling?
I
It's a
think
rich
it's
tapestry.
sort of I think it is a rich tapestry. It is certainly a rich tapestry. I think that it's a product of the momentum, right? That Jack's run has skewed, and so I think that a lot of um, the really high class athletes that might go after White's 100 would probably chase Jacks in a supported sense, on the men's side. Whereas, like, I think that the women's progression will be a little bit more natural, where the times will be closer together for longer. Um, so I think higher odds of a really high class female athlete going after unsupported White's 100, and and coming over the top of whatever the men's time is at the end of 2026.
Sure.
I think it mostly has to do with like how the efforts get skewed because of the carrot of Jack's time.
Sure, fair enough. Interesting take. Next one?
Yeah. Next one. Um,
You don't have
I
to
do
have more
not.
than a take.
No, no, no. I do have other takes. I have many takes. I have
Alright,
many takes.
alright.
I think women's long trail goes sub 5, or women's unsupported long trail goes sub 5 days.
Sure.
I mean, and maybe that dovetails with Alyssa coming back to the Northeast with
Perhaps.
a
I
big
haven't
multi-day effort.
Yeah. It's interesting. Alyssa well, at least I don't know Alyssa to have done a ton of unsupported stuff, but she's doing the Spine very soon here, and that's a self-supported race, the Winter Spine, so maybe this will, and I know she does adventure races, so, um, perhaps that I mean, that would be electric. I like this take.
Yeah, I think that the data is all there for it to be put together, and I think that uh, Tori's time is great. The difference between her time and 5 hours, I do not think is actually that big. I think it's so small tweaks that can get you there.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
I'll say that my third take is a 100-mile wilderness take. All of my takes are actually on the women's side. I think the women's supported time end of 2026 um, will be faster than the men's unsupported time.
Okay. I like that. I like that take too, that, because it's not that far off as of now, right? It's like an hour maybe?
Yeah.
I mean, that's not gonna happen because I already dictated that it's gonna be a quiet year on the 100-mile wilderness,
Right, right.
but
But
nice
see,
try.
look, you just heard 3 category 1 takes in a row. It's how often do you get to hear that?
Dude, all that has to happen for my 100-mile wilderness take to come true is that one rotting bridge that you guys drive over needs to collapse be between Whitecap and whatever's after Whitecap, and then it's all toast.
Dude, I'm gonna go out there and break it down myself.
I know, just secure the legacy of your record.
Yeah, that's good
That's
stuff.
great. Are those all your takes?
Oh, man.
I feel like you gotta put a 4th one out there so we each have 4 takes out there.
Sure, 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 sure. Let me think about this. Nothing gets close on the Hutchverse.
Nothing gets close on the Hutch yeah, I want that one. That I mean, I guess that's kind of like your version of my 100-mile or my Whites 100 take. So, like we each have 1 take that's, like, quite likely to happen.
Oh, yes, yeah.
I feel like alright, I'll accept that. Great, I love this slate of takes. I think mine is far better, and I will be validated, uh, as time goes on.
When we sit here 1 year from now, you
Yeah.
will be crying and I will be laughing.
Dude, well, the podcast might not exist 1 year from now. All of you l
Crap.
listen to the podcast as if it's the last episode, because it might be.
Well, if it is, this was a good one to go out on. This one was fun.
That's so true, man. Uh, no, I can't. I'm contractually obligated to continue doing the podcast for at least a little bit longer. Um, fantastic. Well, as we wrap up here, do you have anything to say to the people, as we transcend the year 2025 and hobble our way into 2026?
I am of the people, by the people, and for the people.
Dude, that's so not true. This man hovers above the people. Um,
That's what I have
great.
to say.
Well, it was a pleasure. Thank y'all for listening to the pod. You are the lifeblood of the show. Listen, I'm gonna put a poll in the Spotify allows you to put polls on the episode, and I haven't put one up, I think, until this episode. But the poll is gonna be whose takes are better, uh, and I expect y'all to choose the correct one. Whose takes are more likely to be more category one? That'll be down in the poll. I think you can only do it on Spotify, so if you're listening on somewhere else, head on over to Spotify, vote in the poll, show Xander that he is dumb, and
Dude, put it on Instagram. I'm not afraid.
you know what? I'll put it on Spotify and Instagram.
Yeah. Yeah, there we go.
Uh, all right, sweet. Yeah, thanks all for listening. Um, Shout out Hannaford brand cranberry lime seltzer. we'll, we'll see you guys later. Peace.